I've been waiting for you, Coraline.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
This time we're covering a film that's been long overdue for a Spooktober video, Coraline!
Yes! Coraline is considered Laika Studios' greatest film next to Paranorman for years. And neither of us had even seen the film, so this one has become a must-see for us to cover, and we were not disappointed.
Right. But before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification with some future podcasts and Pause videos.
Thank you so much for joining us today, sharing our videos, commenting, and so much more. We appreciate everything you do.
Yes.
And thank you to Playmaker, because he's the real reason we went ahead and watched this movie.
Yes.
We asked, is it really as good as they say? Not only for Coraline, and not only for Paranorman, but also from Frankenweenie.
Yes.
So because of him, we were able to watch all 3 movies.
Yes! Finally!
Thank you, Playmaker.
Yes.
So for those of you not familiar with Coraline, and you probably are,
right?
You're like we were. It's a 2009 American Gothic stop-motion animated dark fantasy horror film.
It's a lot.
Written for the screen and directed by Henry Selick. And it's actually based on the 2002 novella of the same name by Neil Gaiman.
Now, I never knew it was a book. I thought it was just a movie on its own, that was it.
And this was actually produced as Laika's first feature film.
Right. Well, they had a great first outing, believe it or not, because this movie has had a legacy for years now. I think it's probably been considered was one of the best animated films of all time. Mm-hmm. And then this is what pretty much stays the reputation for having these high quality movies, and they're all stop motion movies. Might want to add to that, all high quality stop motion movies, and every single one that's pretty much has come out has been a hit in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. This was originally released in theaters. 100 minutes is the running time. Mm-hmm. 60 million budget, and it earned over 185 million at the box office.
Well, it definitely made more back.
Also had a great starring vocal cast we'll get to later. And just as Gaiman was finishing his novella, he met Selick and invited him to make a film adaptation, as he was a fan of his other stop-motion works, The Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach, both with Tim Burton.
Right. And with this one, we have been hearing about how great Coraline is for years. We saw Paranorman. Well, I saw Paranorman first, and then Mama saw it much later. Mm-hmm. So that was our first movie with them. And we saw Box Trolls sometime after, like years after. Right. And we really loved that. We saw Kubo. We've seen Missing Link. Those already have their own fan bases. Coraline seemed to be the only film we hadn't seen in the studio.
And Frankenweenie.
And was Frankenweenie them?
No, but it was the same type of stop motion.
Okay, well, okay. And we finally got to see this movie, and it was actually for free for a while. And they were re-releasing it in theaters in October because it was so critically acclaimed. And it made even more money when it got re-released in theaters. So that means they were paying to go see an older film more than seeing the new movies.
What made this so great for America is that you had Aardman, who was famous for stop motion with Wallace and Gromit and the other movies they've made stop motion. So they were seen as the aficionados, the specialists. Well, this one was actually staged in a 140,000 square foot warehouse in Hillsboro, Oregon. First time it being done here. And it was divided into 50 lots, which played host to nearly 150 sets. So they built miniature Victorian mansions, and apple orchards, and a model of Ashland, Oregon, including tiny details such as banners for the Oregon Shakespeare Festival.
Oh, wow.
So they went all out like Aardman.
Yes.
And I think that's one reason this worked so well, because they really took it seriously. Not only were they enjoying themselves, but they really were determined to make an excellent product to release for viewing.
Right, exactly. And you can tell all of the heart's been put into it when you watch it. So much so they still got theories and things for this movie decades later.
And every object that you see on the screen was specifically made for this movie.
Yes. Amazing.
Yes. And lastly, this film involved 450 people working on it.
Wow. A lot of work.
Yes, so a very large cast of people were employed for this movie. And you can tell that the people love what they were doing. This movie, it comes across. And it's nothing like we've seen before in terms of the story. It's similar to others, but is different. And the main characters, oh my gosh, yes, they were a ship from the time they got. So let's get into
Voice
the main
cast?
characters, Caroline Jones, and get into her and her journey and who she meets and how everything comes about.
Right. So for this movie, it's almost in a way like a slightly dark Alice in Wonderland when you think about it. Her family moves to this house, relocated for the mom's job. What's funny is that she's a professional gardener, an advice maker, but she hates dirt. So it's like, you picked the wrong job to have for this. And they're moving to this new house, and you can tell it's really, really old. It's got things that really needs to be sorely fixed. It's like a fixer-upper, basically, but they just kind of do what they can as they still working constantly. And Coraline gets kind of bored, and they tell her, hey, you can just check these certain things around the house and occupy yourself pretty much, because they're a little irritated at the beginning. And she ends up finding this secret door, like a secret door, where when she opens it, it leads to another world, and it's a parallel world from the one she's in.
Well, before that world, when she first moves there with her mom and dad,
oh yes,
she meets
that's right.
the neighbor, Wyburn or Wybe or Wyburn, were you born?
Like, what kind of name?
And his first appearance on the screen, he brings a doll. Now, when the movie is opening, the first thing I said is, they're sewing a doll.
Yeah.
For me, it was obvious it was a doll. I don't know why it was. Probably because I can do Rebuses and all these other things and figure them out. I knew it was a doll. And he comes with the doll with his head cut to the side. And he's like, I have this gift for you. So Russell asked me the question.
Wait, you gave her a doll that looks like her. Does this mean, is this the way you're saying you like her? And Ma said yes. Like, oh no, here we go.
And they were shipped from that moment on.
Like, immediately.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh, she's a girl. She's the only girl here. I'm moving in on this right now.
And you even see it throughout the movie when she goes back to her own world. It's sort of a back and forth thing. You kind of see that he's following her along. He's like, are you stalking me or what?
And she keeps making fun of him. Why were you born?
Like
and making fun of his name.
This poor guy.
And no matter what she does, he stays there. Because it was like anime. He had fallen for her as soon as he saw her. And then he comes on later and goes, you know that doll? His head turned to the side.
Why you keep
That pays you. Well, my grandma wants me to get it back.
Like, why? And the funny part is
just like her.
And the funny part is she was kind of like creeped out first, then as the movie went on, she actually did enjoy and appreciate it, and when she didn't want to give it back.
So she meets in the other world, as you mentioned. I guess you would say her other parents.
Yes, other mother and other father. Yes, you're right. And they act much differently from her own parents. It seems like they're just too busy with work, they don't want to be bothered, and that is what it comes across as when you're watching. And when she gets to this world, they're kind and they're caring, they're attentive, they have actual food and not looks like some overcooked gruel or something at the table, and they treat her well, they give her attention and everything, and she's like, wow, this is something she didn't have in her world. And then
she stupidly says about staying there.
She could stay there. So, you know, she could stay there. She didn't have to go back home. And then the next visit, the next visit, it's a little different.
And it gets darker and darker and darker, and it gets more toward the horror end of the
like
spectrum.
the eeriness starts to creep in more. Yeah.
And who's there to help her and to help save her? Wyburn. And in this world, they knew that he talks a lot, because he does. And they knew he would warn him, because he would have. And they knew he would save her, because he would have.
Right.
So they sewed this Wyburn's mouth up so he couldn't tell her anything.
Right.
And he still found a way to help her and tell her.
Yes, so I guess otherwise we still wasn't stupid, so it's hilarious. You kind of felt bad. It's like they've sewed his mouth off, this poor one.
But it's really entertaining, and also Coraline learns to be a better person, because at first she's a jerk to her parents. She really is. And unnecessarily so. It's obvious they love her, but they're immersed in their work. And she wasn't understanding at all on any level, and she was a jerk to them, and she treated them like crap.
Yeah.
But she learns during the course of the movie that they do love her, and she should be appreciative because she's got great parents and they take good care of her, and she wants for nothing. And now she's made a boyfriend, and now she's in a new community where she can have fun. So she learns to appreciate them.
Yes, I think that's one of the best parts of the movie is the moral at the end.
And toward the end of the movie, we learn more about the community they moved into, and the secrets for the people that live there, and what has happened, and about the urban legend that is going on. And it's a doozy.
Yes.
But this is a very entertaining movie. So let's go over the voice cast quickly. We have Dakota Fanning as Coraline Jones, Terry Hatcher as Madam Jones, and the Beldam, also known as Other Mother.
Right.
Jennifer Saunders as Mrs. April Spink and her Otherworld counterpart.
Yes.
And you know Jennifer Saunders from Shrek.
Yes. Yes.
We have John French as Mrs. Miriam Forcible and her Otherworld counterpart. Keith David is the cat, and we forgot to mention that.
Oh yes,
that
the cat plays along.
Was brilliant.
Yes, Cat does come along with Coraline through the third act when the other YB was gone.
And he's brilliant in the role.
Yes, definitely. And I didn't even know he was in this movie. It's just he started talking like Keith David's in here.
Yeah.
And he actually ends up getting attached to Coraline. He acts like he doesn't care. He's like that cat from Ghost Stories in a way.
And from Kiki's
Delivery Service, yes.
You have John Hodgman as Charles Jones and the other father as well. And Robert Bailey Jr. as Wyvern.
Yes.
Ian McShane is Mr. Sergei Alexander Babinski.
Yeah.
And his Otherworld counterpart. Anka Neal, George Silic, and Hannah Kaiser as the Ghost Children. Harry Silic and Marina Budowski as Coraline's friends in Pontiac, Michigan.
Oh, that's funny.
And lastly, Caroline Crawford as Mrs. Lovat. So this was just great. Absolutely great. It was not only way better than I expected, but just fantastic. And little fun fact, the one who voices Mrs. Lovat, Wyvern's grandma, was a singer who sang disco songs in the early 60s and 70s
No way.
for Motown.
No way. Oh my God.
Yes. And the way she was designed was actually a shout out to her singing career.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. And one more thing I definitely want to mention is that the legacy this movie has and the tone it has throughout the movie is that it's sort of like their own monster house. And this is a type of genre people wish that they made more of, where they made little horror movies for kids. And they were more cerebral, they were interesting, they
like
had
the
mystery.
Lovecraft
Right, they were thrillers, but they were doing everything where it was still somehow family friendly. They didn't show gore, they didn't show violence, they didn't swear, they didn't have to do all these things to get shock value and desensitized.
Right.
They were telling a good story, good mystery, full of surprises. And it's unfortunate they don't really make those types of movies anymore because now they want to tell occult stories. And we know there are some people that do like that, but the appeal of all these
doesn't have to be
right. But the appeal of these movies and Paranorman and these others is that they made up their own urban legends and spookiness and horror without relying on anything like that.
Yes, and it's fantastic. So if you've seen Coraline, let us know in the comments. Have you seen all the Laika films? Which one is your favorite? Let us know. And if you haven't, Coraline was a really tough find for us because we've been looking for years.
Yes.
And at one time it was on YouTube and removed. So you're going to have to hunt unless you're going to buy it.
Right.
Or pay to rent it. And it's steep because it's so popular. It's not going to be $3.99.
Right.
But give it a watch. Come back and tell us what you think. And it's not at the libraries.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, we'll give you for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us, subscribing, sharing our videos, and so much more. As always,
You are special. Thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
and Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
There are some doors that should never be opened.